Hello friends, Mary here from Rocky Mountain Gardens, and welcome to my channel. You may have caught earlier a video that I made where I offered a selection of books for children for both gifts and for read-alouds for the children in your lives. And if you haven't seen that video, I will put a card right up here that you could click on if you'd like to take a look at that. Today, though, we are going to focus on books for us adults. And I have a really nice selection that I wanted to share with you. If you enjoy reading a wonderful, heartwarming Christmas story at this time of year, well, I've got some good titles for you. Now, I've got my stack over here, and I'm going to go ahead and grab the first one on the top. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put a list of these titles and their authors in the description box below if you'd like to follow up on either purchasing them or getting them from your public library. These make wonderful Christmas gifts for your friends and family members who are grown-ups and, like me, love to watch a good Hallmark movie. Some of these books have actually even been made into Hallmark movies, but you know, I always say the book is better than the movie, almost always. So getting back to this first title, Christmas Bells by Jennifer, and I think her name is pronounced Chiaverini. She has written this book, and it covers two time spans, the present and then also during the Civil War. And this story takes place in Boston, where Henry Wadsworth Longfellow lived. And it is his story about what happened with his family during the Civil War, and his inspiration for writing the poem called Christmas Bells, which is used for the lyrics of the song, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. And so it's Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's story, as well as some present day characters. And of course it has a very happy ending, which is, to me, necessary for a Christmas time story. So really check this one out. I just finished reading it and it was lovely. Just really magnificent. Okay. My next author is Jan Karon, and if you have not read her At Home in Midford series, I highly recommend it to you. And this book is her Christmas story from that series, and it is called Shepherd's Abiding. And if you know Jan Karon, her books have a lot of humor in them, and they're just fantastic. They all take place in this small town in Mitford, North Carolina, I believe, a small town with an Episcopal priest and his wife, and just fantastic stories with all kinds of eccentric characters. And you will love this book. You'll laugh and you'll just be so filled with Christmas cheer. Okay, next book. Now this one I'm recommending. I have not read it yet myself. It's called A Christmas at Sea, and it's by Melody Carlson. And I'm recommending it because I have read many of Melody Carlson's books, and they're quite delightful. And you know, I really love stories these days that I can depend on to have a happy ending. I don't like to read books that give me a lot of anxiety and, you know, I have to worry as I'm reading them, or be afraid if I'm reading like a Stephen King book. So I am looking for these kind of titles by authors who really can soothe our hearts and make us feel just happy with really nice Christmas spirit. So you might want to look at this. This is my next read, actually, for this season. All right. Then we have a book by David Baldacci. And if you're familiar with him as an author, he writes sort of spy thrillers and so on. But this book is called The Christmas Train. and I have read it a couple of times. It is one of my favorite Christmas stories. If you've not heard of it, it is the tale, I guess you would say, of a journalist who is trying to get a home, well, to visit his girlfriend in Los Angeles, and he's trying to get there from Washington, D.C. He can't fly, and he has to take a train. So he takes an Amtrak train all the way across the country, and along the way there's romance and a mystery, but not a scary mystery, kind of a humorous, fun mystery that will keep you on your toes. And I tell you, when I read this book, it made me want to travel across our country by train. It just was fantastic. So give this one a good try, or give it as a gift. All right, another book that I have read at Christmas time one year was by Fannie Flagg, and this one is called A Redbird Christmas. And this is a story of a man. He's, I don't know, middle-aged, and he gets a diagnosis from his doctor that he's going to die. I think he lived in Chicago, if I'm remembering correctly, but somewhere up north where it was cold and dreary. And he decides to move down south and winds up in this small town where he meets a lot of eccentric characters and finds happiness, real happiness, for the first time in his life. So another heartwarming tale. And Fannie Flagg is a fantastic author also. Okay, now coming over here, a book that I read just recently too is called The Mistletoe In by Richard Paul Evans. And he is also, if you're familiar with him, he's known for writing stories with happy endings. And this is a tale of a young woman who would like to become an author, and she attends an author's sort of weekend conference at the Mistletoe Inn. And it's a tale of romance, Christmas romance and happiness, and just a lovely read. And this is Richard Paul Evans wrote this book as well, and it's called The Christmas Box. And I've had this book for years. Another fun Christmas read, not too long, and it will just warm your heart. He's another great author, Richard Paul Evans. Okay, then one of my favorite authors when I want to read books that are simply happy, there might be a little, what do I want to call it? Something in the story that might make you feel a little bit, oh, what's going to happen to the characters? You might feel a little worry or something. But with Debbie Macomber, again, we always have a very happy ending. And I have 3 of her books here today. This one's called The 12 Days of Christmas. This is a new one for me. I haven't read it yet, but I'm guaranteed to love it. And then here's another one called Starry Night. You can see I got that from the library. And this one is called The Perfect Christmas. She has a large selection of Christmas stories. And so if you go on to Amazon or, to your library, you'll find a nice selection of fun stories written by her. You might be familiar with her if you've watched some of the books that she wrote made into a movie for the Hallmark channel. One of them that I loved, and I haven't actually read the book, but it was called Mrs. Miracle. And that was a really cute, lovely story. But all of Debbie's books are guaranteed to bring a smile to your face and not make you anxious or worried about the outcome of the book. You're not going to have to be worried that the characters are going to die or something horrible will happen to them. And that's certainly what I look for in a Christmas story. And lastly, I wanted to offer this one to you. This is not a book I've read yet. It came highly recommended to me, though, by a friend. It's written by Anita Hughes, and it's called Christmas at the Chalet. And I'm anxious, actually, to get started on this one as well. I like a nice selection of these books at this time of year. In this story, Christmas at the Chalet, there are two girls who are working together in the fashion industry, and they wind up in the Swiss Alps, and they're trying to be successful in their careers together. And this story is full of romance and beautiful fashion and pretty much fluffy stuff. But again, we want to have a cheerful, happy Christmas, don't we? So check out this book. I'm going to be reading it also, as I said, myself very soon. Got it from the library, and you can see I have some of my books back here behind me, but honestly, I read most of my books from the public library, but I also love to give books for Christmas gifts. And these Christmas titles will make wonderful presents for any of your friends who are readers and enjoy spending time with a good book. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this selection. And please do come back to my channel and subscribe if you would like for lots more Christmas joy and fun times in this season. Take care and have a lovely day.